کشمیر میں بسنے والی خواتین پر ہونے والے مظالم کے حوالے سے ایک سیمینار ہو رہا ہے۔ وزیر خارجہ وزیر خارجہ اس وقت سے خطاب کر رہے ہیں، آپ کو براہ راست دکھائیں گے۔
Talking about the plight of Kashmiri women. I believe that the Foreign Office alone cannot do justice to what's happening in the Indian occupied Kashmir until and unless people like you, Mashal, stand up and speak the way you have spoken today. Your story is a real story, of what a mother is going through, what a wife is feeling, that's the story. When, Farzana Yaqub Sahiba, when you stand up and when you say, Hum cheen ke lenge azadi, that gives hope. It gives hope that we haven't given up. Yes, we've been tortured. Yes, we've been maimed. Yes, we are going through a difficult time. Yes, there are over 900,000 soldiers, occupiers, occupying our land, the most militarized zone in the world, but we haven't given up. We are fighting that will, that people's resistance is what is turning the tide. What is turning the tide is people like you. When you speak, Mashal, when people like you, when women like you stand up and speak, that is what has an impact on human beings and will have a very, very sound impact. The other day we organized here in the Foreign Office, a function where we invited children, school children, to come and express through their paintings, through their essays, how they look at Kashmir, the occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And believe you me, some of their narrations were so passionate and moving. I was sitting there and I was listening. It had an impact, and we invited the diplomatic corps. People came and they listened, and these are real life stories. This is not the diplomatic jargon that we as in the Foreign Office are, supposed to do. That's our job. We will continue to do that. But that is not what, is enough. So what we need is a partnership. This is a partnership. The Foreign Office opening up to the people, opening up to Kashmiris, allowing them in, since we've come in 2.5, almost slightly over 2 years ago, we've set up a Kashmir cell, Our DG of the Kashmir cell is sitting here, a woman, who's risen to this, level on her own merit. So we have set up a full-time cell because we feel that we need input from all institutions so that we can put together a narrative which speaks the truth. It tells the world, and shows to the world the real face of India. The largest democracy, secular state, and what in reality they are. That is what needs to be seen and felt by people. So that's so important. Plight of women, I think the most vulnerable, the most innocent, the most helpless, the way they're being treated or being mistreated, abused, is what, what the world needs to know and needs to understand. I was speaking to parliamentarians yesterday, and they were members of the British Parliament, House of Commons, House of Lords, and we had a good, interactive session at the Institute of Regional Studies yesterday. And what I was telling them and I was advocating was how we as parliamentarians, and two of you are, Malika, you and Andalip, are parliamentarians, how you can form caucuses in the parliaments of the world to highlight what's going on. Because governments will have interests. They will have limitations, they will have compulsions, they will have strategic interests, they will have commercial interests, and at times political expediency will overshadow a lot of reality. But when parliamentarians, when civil society and media, when they speak, that is what will get heard. That is why realizing the importance of narrative building, we in the Foreign Office have set up a new division called the Strategic Communication Division. Rabia is here, Nimra, you are here, Khurram Saab is here. The idea is to project to the world what the reality is. Because there is a communication blackout. The world is not seeing what's actually going on there. So it is upon us that we tell the world what the reality is. 10th of December, we celebrate the Universal Declaration of Human Rights every year. It's been going on for 72 years, 48 onwards. At the same time, we also recognize that the rights that were guaranteed for all, are they being given to all? Perhaps not. Where do we stand today? Where are we today? Where is the world that we are talking about? We are talking about the plight of women in Kashmir. But what is the ground reality? That has to be understood. The reality is that the world consciously is moving, well, for whatever reasons, has moved away from multilateralism. It has been undermined, and you can understand the impact it will have on, on conflicts, war zones. Protectionism is on the rise. And in this interconnected world, we've seen how it becomes an impediment. We still are facing this global pandemic. And what was the immediate instant human reaction when nations realized that, they're facing this coronavirus pandemic? They sealed borders. They didn't open up. They didn't share. There was, how do I protect myself? Individualism, self-protection. That was the immediate gut reaction of humanity across the world. Inequalities, they have gone up. Well, the world was never equal. But what has happened in the last year? You have seen, and now there are statistics, that the rich nations have become richer, or the rich elite has become richer. There are more billionaires today than there were a year ago. And the poorer have become poorer. And the poor nations are struggling for fiscal space just to protect their citizens and to provide for healthcare. Discrimination in all forms. As I said, the largest democracy, a secular state, What are they doing? Enacting laws like the Citizen Amendment Act, a law which is discriminatory in nature. So that's happening. And then you see extremism on the rise. As a minority, Shunela Bibi, you understand, as a Christian parliamentarian, what it means when your church gets attacked. You know what it feels like. Radicalization is on the rise. Individuals are being radicalized. Societies are being radicalized. And you have seen the rise of the extremist right in Europe. I'm not talking of a third world. I'm talking of the European countries, most civilized, educated democracies that believe in welfare. Anachronistic practices on the rise. So this is the current world that we're living in. And we have to fight the cause of Kashmir in this hostile environment. You have to fight for your rights in this unfriendly environment. This famous writer, the Nobel laureate Ali Wazir, said, and I quote, "Wherever men and women are prosecuted because of their race, religion, or political views, that place must, at the moment, become the center of the universe." So where is the center of the universe? To me, it's the illegally Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir. If you're talking of human rights violations, then that is the center of the universe as far as I can relate to. Human rights system has been completely undermined in Jammu and Kashmir. The unspeakable atrocities and the grave humanitarian tragedy is known to all of us. What does the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, what does it say? It says, equal entitlements of rights and dignity. That's what it says. Every year we repeat it. The mantra goes on. But we are watching, and we are seeing that the world is watching silently. The utter disregard of fundamental rights in the occupied Jammu and Kashmir is being overlooked. People look the other way. It's not that they are not aware of. They are aware of, but they look the other way. It's convenient to look the other way. The declaration says, right to life, right to liberty and security of a person. This remains a far-fetched dream for any Kashmiri woman today. Liberty, protection, life, these are, we read about them, but it's not being practiced there. Stories of sexual violence, you've spoken about them. Over 11,000 women were abused, since the rising in 1989. Over thousands molested. Yeah. Over 22,000 raped, widowed. Over 100,000 children orphaned. The women and children that have lost their eyesight because of, continuous use of pellet guns. Equal protection under the law. Malika, you were talking about the legal rights and the options. And Mishal, you also mentioned that the Foreign Office should look at the legal options, and we are. Day before, in the Foreign Office, we were sitting and looking at what lawfare options do we have, and we are working on it. Once we have narrowed down about 7 options that we have, and we are looking at it, and experts are giving us their input, and we intend to exercise that option. For the first time, Pakistan will be exercising that option. Draconian laws, they have been legislated in a democracy like India. They've been legislated. Those laws, the Public Safety Act, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, they are being exercised, they are being used by Indian forces. And you know what it means. You're going through it. Then the act, the declaration says, right of freedom of expression. Very well said. But look at how Kashmiri voice has been muzzled. International independent journalists cannot enter the state. Independent observers are not allowed in. So who will verify what reality is? Who will tell the world, what the real face is? You talked about the economic misery, what people, the tourism has suffered, orchards, livelihoods have been impacted. But it's going on, and the world is quietly watching. So there is utter disrespect. Disrespect for international law, disrespect for international humanitarian law, international resolutions, and human rights violations are on the rise. As I said, political expediency, commercial interests, strategic interests are forcing countries, entities, organizations to look the other way. Kashmiri men, particularly women, bear the brunt of systematic state violence. It is designed. It is to break your will. It is designed to break your will. It's amazing the way you have stood up and fought against heavy odds. The Kashmiris have. It's unprecedented what you've done. But they will continue to break your will. But be rest assured. Mashal, be rest assured. Pakistani men, Pakistani women, and children stand by you. We will not let you down. No matter what people say. At times there's politics, we do play politics. Kashmir ko sauda ho gaya. I said that. One of my favorite politicians has used that. Kashmir ka sauda kar diya. And I responded yesterday, and let me reiterate. कोई माई का लाल कश्मीर का सौदा नहीं कर सकता और पाकिस्तान में जिंदा रह सकता है. It's not possible. With any self-respecting Pakistani will never do that. No matter what the odds are. I believe in this. This is my conviction. I say this out of conviction. Not because I'm foreign minister. Foreign ministers aate jate rehte hain. I was, I am. Dito na.
If you could excuse me, sir, for a minute, because a lot of people ask the Kashmiris this question as well, because this is debated by the opposition parties, but I fail to understand
the logic behind it, because even the previous regime of Modi, because I was there in 2014 when he was newly elected as the PM, it was part of his electoral manifesto, abrogation of Article 370 and 35A. 5 years he was busy cleansing the villages to build up Sanic colonies, and now he finally implemented it. So it's not a shocker for people who really study the Kashmir, and you have Faiz Naqshbandi Sahab, legal expert on Kashmir, leader. So I think it's not a shocker for anyone whatever happened.
Correct.
It was being planned 5 years before that.
You're absolutely right. The point is, it wasn't a shocker. It shouldn't have been a shocker. But then, it's the level of commitment.
हमने हार नहीं मानी है, हम अभी भी फाइट कर रहे हैं और कश्मीरियों के हुकूक के लिए फाइट करते रहेंगे। वजीर खारजः शाह महमूद कुरैशी इस्लामाबाद में इंसानी हुकूक के आलमी दिन के हवाले से मकबूज़ा कश्मीर में ख़वातीन की हालत के हवाले से इज़हार ख्याल कर रहे थे।